Yo guys, Ghost here. So whilst we're all sat here patiently awaiting the Battlefield 2042 beta, I thought we could talk about the next best thing, the technical alpha test. It won't have escaped many of you that a bunch of the footage from those alpha testing sessions leaked all over YouTube and Reddit. However, recently I came across some newly released footage that showcased some interesting mechanics and features of the game that I hadn't seen before. Now obviously I won't be able to show you the footage as that would violate DICE's terms and some of you may not even want to spoil yourselves, but I can talk about it. So first off, let's talk vehicle animations, always a hot topic. These never used to be in Battlefield games, they added them in for Battlefield 1 and 5. Some people think being able to instantly get in and out of vehicles to repair and whatnot is a bit overpowered and unrealistic, and others loathe the vehicle animations entirely and simply find that it makes the gameplay more sluggish and less responsive. However, in Battlefield 2042, it seems like they've taken a middle-of-the-road approach to things. I originally reported on there being no vehicle animations as I saw soldiers entering vehicles and instantly taking control of them, whilst other people kept insisting that vehicle animations did exist, and it turns out that we're all correct. So the way it's currently working, at least in the alpha, is that when you enter a vehicle from your perspective, you instantly go to the first person view of that vehicle and you can start controlling it, just like in Battlefield 4 for example. However, if you have the view in third person, you will actually see the animation of your soldier entering the vehicle play out, but you can still control the vehicle while this is happening. And likewise, other people watching you will see your soldier climbing into that tank or that helicopter. Essentially, it's a little more authentic and better looking without sacrificing gameplay. Now, whether or not you can get shot out of the vehicle during the entering animation is another question entirely, one to which I do not have the answer, but if somebody else has seen evidence of this or perhaps even participated in the playtest, then feel free to share. Okay, so another thing I noticed is that when somebody spots an enemy, their soldier will now actively shout out not just the direction of enemy players, but they'll also give you an accurate bearing on the compass. So instead of saying something like, enemy sniper, northwest of your position, they'll say, enemy sighted, 320 degrees, a much more exact direction. Very useful stuff. Now, you guys probably heard about the Maria Falk nerf, right? Her Syrette pistol used to revive teammates from a distance, but they realised during the playtest that it was too overpowered and they rolled it back to only healing allies from a distance and not reviving. So you can either fire it at your teammates to heal them, or you can go through this little animation and fire it directly into your arm for a self-heal, right? Now, I'm not sure if this was intended, but in the alpha playtest, a lot of players figured out that instead of injecting yourself with it, you could just fire it at the ground in front of your feet where it would leave behind essentially a tiny medkit, then you simply run over it to consume the charge and heal yourself. And that was much faster than going through the self-heal animation. Whether that is an intended gameplay mechanic or not, I'm not sure, but the heal from her Syrette pistol was super quick. I saw people healing from 20 up to 100% health in about 1 second. Of course, this playtest wasn't really focused on balance, so I'm sure the healing speed and amount has already been changed, but I wonder if that trick of, leaving the healing charge on the floor still works. Now, when it comes to graphics and effects in Battlefield 2042, judging by the alpha test, they still have a ways to go, and it definitely didn't look very polished, which is to be expected. But I did notice a couple of new effects that just look really stunning. The first one is that explosions now have a visible shockwave that billows across the battlefield from the epicenter of the explosion, distorting the surrounding area. So let's say an explosion occurs just off screen, you don't see the explosion, the fire, or the smoke, but you hear the noise, and now you will see this cool looking shockwave cause a slight blur for like a split second. It's nothing like the suppression effect or anything that drastic, and as far as I can tell, the explosion has to be of a significant size, like a tank blowing up. It's not going to be triggered by every rocket pod that hits the floor, I don't think. It's hard to explain without showing it, but trust me, it looks really nice. Another one is the terrain deformation. So I mentioned this in a video the other day, but you'll see tanks driving over the grass on Orbital, and they just leave these big muddy caterpillar tracks right where they've driven over it, and it just looks fantastic. It also gives you more information about the game as well. You know, if you see tank tracks in the grass and you don't see a friendly tank anywhere close by, well, you can bet there's an enemy around the corner, so I love that personally. I also noticed that you can fly scout helicopters in small underground areas, just like in BF4. I saw somebody flying one under the tunnel that runs under the launch pad on Orbital, and it looked very Battlefield momenty. To be honest though, the Helis don't really look as hard to fly and control in this game. They just don't look like they have that same weight and inertia to them, so it might not be quite as cool anymore if anybody can do it. In terms of balance, I saw quite a lot of sniping and tanking in this latest footage, so sniping looks very similar to Battlefield 5, and I consider that a good thing. That's honestly my favourite Battlefield game to snipe in. TTK was the usual Battlefield deal, 1 shot to the head and 2 in the body in most situations will get you a kill. As for tanks, it looks like a good 4 shots would take down an enemy tank in a one-on-one, so that sounds comparable with what we're already used to from games like BF4. So I suppose once we finally get our hands on the beta, we'll be able to try this stuff out. I have heard rumours that EA have been sending out invitations for new alpha playtests taking place within the next week or so. If true, that could mean that they're doing another alpha test to see if they fixed whatever needed fixing and caused the delay, and if all goes well, then hopefully after that they'll feel confident enough to actually commit to a solid date for the beta. The 22nd of September is still sounding like a day that we could hear something, so keep your eyes peeled this week, guys. As always, guys, with all of this stuff from alpha tests and leaked footage and whatnot, just take everything with a pinch of salt. A lot of these things can and probably will change in the final game. That is going to do it for me today. Thank you for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more Battlefield 2042, and I'll see you in the next video.